So today we have Tom Waghorn on the sofa, and this is a very special guest. Not for me because I see him most days, but for you guys out there in the world of YouTube and Facebook and LinkedIn. So Tom's been the man who's pioneered Amazon advertising with clear ads, and I've just been the guy who's got the answers from Tom and shared with everyone. So I don't feel like Tom has got the justice he deserves. So this is my time to now introduce Tom to the world. So world, Tom, world.
Hello world.
So Tom, I want to ask you a few questions. I want to ask you about just your journey in life, how you got to where you are now, what you were doing before you joined the team, and anything else you want to add.
Cool, yeah. So, after secondary school, I went off to do a degree, and I actually studied in animation, which is as far away from digital advertising as I could possibly think at the moment. The degree put me off. I realised it was more of a hobby. So I started doing some searching to see what I could possibly do for a career and what my future would be. After that, I actually jumped into being a youth worker for a church. It's something that a lot of friends had done, so I saw how it worked. I'm quite a personable person, so relationship building is quite important, and being able to pass those skills on to the youth seemed like a natural progression, and doing youth work in church is something I was always passionate about anyway. And then I started wanting to settle down a bit more, because obviously it eats into your evenings, your weekends, and your social life, whether that's for all the youth clubs on Fridays, on Sunday mornings, etc. So I just wanted a different change of pace, and that's where I spoke to George. I had an interest in his business. I've been a friend of George's for, I want to say, 10 plus years before working here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so George took me on almost as an apprentice, I guess.
Yeah, and at that point there was no one. I think Samina was around.
Yeah.
But there was no one else, and we just like, we might as well come on board and work.
Do a few little odd jobs for
Yeah.
you and see where it went. And at the same time, I was still keeping my options open, but the more...
Wow, I didn't know that, guys.
Yeah, yeah. Dishing the dirt here now. Yeah. Yeah, you weren't my first choice. I was keeping my mind open, so doing little odd jobs around the office for you. I was dipping my toes into every area, and at that time we were just in Google, weren't we?
Yeah, it's just
a
in
little
Google.
bit of Facebook as well for a couple of clients. So
Yeah.
the more I did it, the more I loved doing it and learning more. Doing the exams for Google, doing all the reading, do the research.
And can I just say, I think I was in Bermuda. I was about to go to Bermuda, and I said to Tom, "Look, it'd be great if you could just pass one of the exams, the Google exams." And I think when I was there, you passed like two.
Passed them both, yeah.
Yeah, passed them both.
Yeah.
Has that smashed it?
Yeah, you said I'd get a pay rise every time I passed one, so
Yeah.
I thought, why not do them all?
He's been holding back, guys. He's got it on camera now.
But yeah, the role evolved from there. My hours went up every kind of few weeks, and yeah, I guess I've always then since been your number two, haven't I?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you've always said the hardest thing is finding a number two.
Yes, because to go from one to go from two to to go from 1 to 2 is the hardest, but to go and then 2 to 3 is not that hard because there's 2 of us. So someone can always train the other person. Someone can always develop the other person. It's not always on me. So I think before you there was 2 other awesome ladies, but they there's 3. Samina's still with us, but she was more in the background. But the other 2 ladies, they were great, but they moved on, and I think it was the biggest struggle was about how do you keep people for a while, because keeping people will help you develop and grow as a company. So Tom was the guy that kind of stayed around, so I managed to convince him. So I might not have been his first choice at the time, but clearly something's keeping him here, guys. So
yeah, the magic was here.
Yeah.
The magic was here, so I'm still here.
But and I guess it would be good if we talked about like how we got into Amazon advertising.
Absolutely, and I think it was a tip off from someone else in the industry that had recently started work at Amazon, and that their Amazon platform was incredibly underutilized.
Yeah.
And at this point, it was just Seller Central. I think there were rumblings of Vendor Central at that time as well.
Yeah.
So I just started digging around on the internet looking for ways in, because we were just doing Google at the moment, and it's not that easy to get in contact with Amazon themselves and onboard ourselves onto this. So I subscribed to multiple blogs, many of which I still read today, multiple podcasts and webinars, just to see how we can actually get involved, and could we look at what the back end of the platform looks like. So we eventually found a list of agencies that were doing it, and it became apparent that there were hardly any. I think there might have been 2 or 3 in Europe at the time when we were looking into it.
Yeah.
The majority of the agencies operating this were actually in the States at the time, so we realised that we had to get into this quick, because we were on the forefront of breaking into something new.
Yeah. Can I just add as well?
Yeah.
We when we kind of first looking into it, we were looking at because we're Googlers, right? We love kind of we don't work for Google, but we love kind of using Google Ads platform. We know it pretty well, so we still do. So when we looked into doing advertising for Google Ads management through Google, it was like £35 a click. But then when we looked at Amazon advertising, kind of through Google Ads, it was like £1.50 a click. So absolute bargain. So the first day we kind of figured out, right, Amazon advertising is a kind of a blue ocean. We went into Google Ads, we started pumping traffic. We got a landing page made that afternoon.
Yeah.
The next day we had leads coming in, and you worked on 1 or 2 accounts for free, didn't you?
Yeah, we did. We had a couple of guinea pigs. It was all above board, very transparent. They knew that they were kind of test subjects, but they saw the benefits as well. So they were getting free management. They were beginning to work out how that platform could benefit them. So there was kind of no real strings attached there. So we got to learn the platform, how to set up campaigns. Obviously, it was invaluable knowledge, having worked in Google before, that we could take the Google Ads experience down to Amazon. So setting up campaigns and keyword research was sort of second nature to us, but learning the infrastructure in the back end, that was the thing that we were going in blind.
Yeah.
So that was a great learning experience, and relaying with those first few clients, like every step of the way of our struggles, the hurdles, and obviously the seller has a different view of Seller Central.
Yeah.
So they've got the back end, so there's lots of things that we couldn't see at the time, like them listing products and inventory levels. So learning every different sort of area that they could give us access to was a lot of fun. It was
so much fun.
Jumping into the dark or the deep end of the pool, but
and there was no structure, there was nothing. It was literally a blank canvas, and we had to kind of paint a picture. And then we picked up an amazing mailing list. Just some dude in India just reached out, didn't he? And he was like, "Do you want to buy a list?" And I was like, "Sure." And it was Amazon sellers, and it was the most successful list of emails we ever got our hands on, because literally there were Amazon sellers who didn't know an agency existed for Amazon advertising. So we picked up a ton of sales off that. But kind of moving forward, we then delved into Amazon DSP, and I think that's been a lot of fun since we've been doing it last year. I guess it would be good to hear your experience on that as well.
Yeah, and DSP, it was a similar thing, I guess. We're kind of jumping into the dark, but at that point we were, I guess, it's not too egotistical to say we were Amazon experts at that point. So we knew the marketing landscape for Amazon sellers there.
We did.
So we knew the best way to utilise the platform to maximise those client sales and help them grow, and tap untapped areas of the marketing real estate that they couldn't reach through the Amazon platform.
Yeah.
So we initially started offering this to some of our existing Seller Central clients and Vendor Central clients, trialling on accounts that we knew that worked, so that we could hit the ground running rather than having to do a bit of trial and error, I guess, with an unknown client. So that was exciting. We were able to get some learning material and resources quite early off the bat, so it wasn't too much trial and error. And
no, to be honest, we had to make a lot of that up. in terms of the resources, because there was quite a lack of it. I remember when
We still had access to some though.
yeah, but not much.
We had the little training doc when we signed up. Of the basics of how to set up an order, how to set up an advertiser.
Yeah, and that
how
was
to set up creatives. Nothing about how to optimize, so to speak, but we knew how to build from there.
And that was the interesting thing, because with the SP we moved into the programmatic world. And actually, do you remember, where did we go? We went to, what's that event called?
We went to D Mexico.
That was it, Mexico.
Cologne.
By the way, rubbish Wi-Fi. At a tech event, right? It was like the Wi-Fi was awful. So I was frustrated because we couldn't get any work done. But these guys were just having a great time because it was like free food and alcohol.
Free food, yeah.
It was good. It was good fun. But anyway, we went to this event and there was like no sign or hint of Amazon advertising. Amazon DSP. Amazon's DSP. They talked about a lot of the other programmatic events. So that was pretty interesting. Well, that was very interesting in our kind of in our findings. So I think we went away from that event going, right, actually, hold on, this is a huge opportunity that we've kind of jumped into now.
Yeah, we had something unique.
Yeah. And that was kind of, I guess, being pinnacle to our business now, and kind of we are where we are because of it, and I'm kind of super pumped about the future. But Tom, I'd love to know some takeaway points. What are not takeaway points? What advice would you give to an Amazon seller who is considering Amazon DSP?
Considering Amazon DSP, make sure all your affairs are in order. I guess make sure that you are selling consistently and you're seeing strong organic growth on Seller Central and organically. Don't abandon your Seller Central or your Vendor Central. Maintain all levels of advertising. Make sure you've got a strong inventory because you're going to open up yourselves to a far larger audience through DSP. You have to remember you're paying for thousands of impressions instead of per click. And your adverts are going to be seen on and off of Amazon through top of funnel all the way down to remarketing. So it's a far larger audience. So you can potentially sell through your stock a lot quicker. So make sure that's all in order. You also want to make sure your reviews are in order, because the dynamic ads, which are the basic ads that you can set up, they look far more attractive and are considered retail ready if you've got a large number of reviews. So I think it's 15 plus with an average rating of 3.5 stars. So make sure you've got that base before even.
And that's the super bare minimum. So we would recommend at least 200 reviews for an ASIN for us to consider kind of pushing through DSP ads.
And also be prepared to have a budget to spend and scale.
What kind of budgets are you thinking?
For just your first order, I would say anywhere between £3,000 and £10,000 or dollars per month just for your first order. That gives you room to scale and test. And even with the lower end of that, you're only looking at 100 a day. But bear in mind, you're probably going to want multiple orders. So you can have your remarketing, which is your basic campaign, on Amazon. Then you can replicate it off Amazon. They're going to need their own budgets. Then you can do competitor targeting. Then you consider cross-selling. And then that's even before bringing in your own custom creatives. So, be prepared to have a decent budget.
We'll have that Wonga. We've got to spend that money. So, I guess for now that's it. And guys, this is Tom. So I hope you enjoyed meeting Tom, and see you soon.
Bye for now.
Bye.